Hello, Mark Red Larson here for the Dream Catcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. Today, my guest is Duna Zurcher.
Yes, you got it right.
Awesome. I mean, we're starting out well. So, how are you doing today, Duna?
I'm doing very well, thank you. What about you, Mark?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day, maybe Monday, but it's awesome. But like we were talking before, every day is awesome. It's all
Exactly.
mindset, which you were just talking about. You just met with your coach,
Yeah.
and so Duna, where are you located at right now?
I'm right now in Galveston. It's south of Houston.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
So, do you like it down there, or do you like Texas?
I do. I had to adapt because it's very different. I'm half Spanish, half Swiss, and I've traveled a lot around. And, all the cities where I've lived, you can just go walking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And here you need your car.
Oh yeah.
So that was a big adaptation. And then the weather. Here, summer, you cannot go outside. It's too hot.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
other than that, I like it.
I don't think I would. Humidity and everything. I don't think I'd want to. I like it in the wintertime.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and I like Galveston. Like I told you when we spoke earlier, that I'd been down there for a birthday. And but do you do any water sports? Do you surf or do
No,
you?
I actually don't. Well, we now have a kayak. We have two kayaks. So
Oh, kayak is
sometimes
awesome.
where we live, we have a canal. So we are really, our feet are in the water.
Perfect.
So we have a couple of kayaks and sometimes we go out there, to just
I
get some
would love that.
exercise being
Yeah.
in the water. It's
Kayaking is so. I hadn't done that until a few years ago, and it's like, yep, I want one of those. I need a kayak. So,
yeah,
in fact,
it's fun.
we watched the people yesterday do it, and it's like, yep, I need to do that. So okay, you're in Galveston. Where were you at before? Where are you from originally?
So I'm half Spanish, half Swiss.
Okay.
But I actually never lived in Spain. When I was 2, we moved to Portugal. When I was 12, I moved to Andorra, which is a small country between France and Spain.
Uh-huh.
And then I moved to Australia. And
Oh
then I went back.
wow,
Yeah. Then I went backpacking. Then I lived in Switzerland. And then I moved to Houston. So yeah, I've been around.
that is neat. So do you have a place that you liked, really stood out, which you really really liked?
um, I mean, I think that every place has its good things and bad things,
I think that's true too.
and I think that's all over the world. And there's a lot of places that I would like to see, maybe not to stay there. And
Hmm.
on the places I've been, it's difficult to say because, like I said, it's very different. And in Sydney, it was easy to make friends. Here or in Switzerland, it was more difficult, but also because of the situation. I was a student there.
Uh,
So, I think the moment you are in your life and all that also affects,
I
right?
think that definitely does too. So what brought you to Galveston or that area?
So I, I met, so in, I don't know what year it was. I'm so bad with years.
That's all right.
But when I left Australia, I went backpacking. I took my
Okay.
backpack with no return ticket.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was my dream. And
Nice.
2 months in, no, after 2 or 3 weeks, when you go backpacking, you're never alone. You
No,
are
that I
never
bet.
alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started traveling with a few people that I met, and one of these people was a guy who is now my
Hmm. Oh, awesome.
husband.
That says it all. There you go.
Exactly. And he's from Houston. So, yeah. But 2 months in my backpacking trip, I had an accident. So
Uh-oh.
that separated us. I had to be repatriated to Switzerland because
Wow.
I needed knee surgery.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, it was a complicated surgery because they had to make a plate
Oh
for my
wow.
knee, and that separated that guy
Right,
with
right, right.
from me. And then, but then the pandemic happened,
Mm,
which
yep. That changed
uh,
everything.
yeah, separated us even longer. And then, well, at the end of the day, I'm here. He came to visit me in Switzerland. We saw that things were going well. So then I came here to visit, and we said, you know what? We're gonna get married, and so
True
we can
love.
be together.
True love always wins out. Yes, that is
Exactly.
so so cool. I mean, I love that. So were you able to, can you still backpack if you want to now with your knee in it? You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can have a totally normal life. There's some movements that hurt and all that, but I mean, I'm so fortunate because
Good. Good.
a lot of people then they lose lose a leg or they can't walk or whatever. And I was actually talking about this with him 2 days ago because I was
Uh-huh.
listening to an interview of a guy that got in an accident and now
Uh-huh.
he's paralyzed. And I was like,
Oh,
these
wow.
things make me feel so grateful for,
Yeah.
yes, I had the accident,
Yeah.
but nowadays I say thank you to that accident.
Yep.
Really. At the time, it
I know
was
what you
the
mean.
worst thing.
Yes.
But now I'm like, oh my God, that accident had to happen. And I'm so
Yep.
grateful for it.
It is. And that's talking about mindset. That's an interesting mindset where you look at something that was a negative and you end up, it's like, that was actually a positive. But at the
Yeah,
time, it's like, nope, that was, you don't see it that way. And I
exactly.
hear, I have had some things too that's just like, I had to go through those things to become the person I am today.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but, so
Hmm.
can I ask what happened when you were hiking?
Well, I was not hiking. We were doing a loop in Laos in a motorbike.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we were in a dirt road.
Uh-huh.
And I saw his bike. He was in front of me. I saw his bike like moving,
Right.
slippering. And then I thought he was going to fall.
Right.
And then I fell.
Oh.
Yeah. And the handle, it fell on my knee and it broke my
Oh.
knee. So,
Ouch. Oh,
yeah,
I can't imagine the pain. I mean,
to be honest, I don't even remember. The
just
emotional pain was much bigger
I
than
could see
the
that
physical
too.
pain. And it
No.
took us 5 hours to get to the hospital.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So,
Long time.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean,
Adventure.
yeah, what an adventure. I mean, especially getting to the hospital that long, you don't think, especially in the United States, there's pretty close wherever. So,
Yeah.
wow, that is so today. So, we've just talked, you were meeting with your business coach. So, what's going on in your life today?
So now I am an integrative nutrition health coach that specializes in emotional eating. And this comes because I'm a former teacher.
Okay.
And at some point
Nice.
in my life, I was like, I cannot do this for 50 more years.
Yeah.
The feeling of being stuck in a place, doing the same exact every day, even
I
though
hear
when
you.
you're a teacher, 2 days are not the same, but you know what I mean,
I
the
do. I
same
do know what you
routine.
mean. Yep. Yep.
So I said, you know what, I need to leave. So I decided to go to Australia to learn English.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I stayed there for 3 years. I went backpacking. I had the accident. And so at this point, I'm in Switzerland.
Okay.
Emotionally, it's everything, it's bad.
Uh-huh.
And my whole life, I struggled with my relationship with food and my body.
Okay.
Um, I've done diets. I can't say that I've dieted my whole life because that would be a lie.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
when you have food rules like, oh, it's 7 p.m., I can't eat after 7 p.m., or
Okay.
it's nighttime, I can't eat carbs because you shouldn't eat carbs at night. You're not following a diet, but you have food rules. And when you
Okay.
go over those food rules, you feel guilty and ashamed. And then, you know, so I
Yeah.
had a lot of food rules. My relationship with my body was very bad. I hated my body. I couldn't look at the
Okay.
mirror. I felt ashamed of it
Wow.
because I wanted to be skinny because that's what society shows you, that
Yeah,
it's
that's what they
the
do.
ideal body and all that and all diets. So I struggled with it my whole life. And so I'm in Switzerland and emotionally, very bad moment. I got
Okay.
separated from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
My backpacking trip was over. Pandemic happens, and on top of that, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a
so
lot of
that's why
things.
I say that I'm grateful for the accident, because if I didn't had the accident, I wouldn't been in Switzerland when he was
Yeah.
diagnosed. So
That
I could
was
be with him.
that was a blessing. It was a blessing indirect.
Exactly.
I mean, it was, but that's
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I like to look at it that way. The thing is that at that moment, I was a train wreck emotionally because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to react to all this. And my relationship with my dad it was not the best one
Okay.
because I grew up in a house with a lot of drama.
Okay.
My mom was a very difficult person to be with.
Okay.
There would be drama, and then when things would calm down, we would never talk about what happened. And
Oh,
I'm talking about things, I don't know, she taking a few pills, calling someone to make
okay.
sure nothing would really happen. So you know what your mom did, and when she comes back from the hospital, it's like never happened.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
so that means that for me, what I learned from that is there's no space for me to express how I feel about things.
Right.
So I just
You just
decided
did the same
to,
thing.
I decided to, unconsciously, of course, I
Right,
decided
right.
to not express my emotions, only the happy ones, the comfortable
Hmm.
ones, the ones
Right,
that everyone accepts.
right.
And I also decided to become a people pleaser and try to make peace
Hmm.
in my environment. So
Okay.
that's the emotional part, and this comes to the emotional eating. So you have that plus the bad relationship with food. So
Hmm.
it
Right.
was bad. So, and my mom, I actually had a very fusional relationship with my mom because I was the protector. And
Oh,
when we talked about when we talked last time,
uh-huh.
you asked me what was your dream when you were
Right,
a
right,
little kid,
right.
and I realized that I didn't have one. My dream or my goal was to make people around me happy, so dramas wouldn't happen.
I can understand
Um,
that.
so this is the emotional part, and my dad was left, so my mom and I had a very fusional relationship,
Okay.
and my relationship with my dad was
Yeah.
almost inexistent. So when I see myself at his house without being
Uh-huh.
able to walk, with physical therapy, and then he has
Yeah.
stage 4 cancer,
Just cancer, yeah.
it's it's a very bad situation. So I went to therapy, and that helped me heal my relationship with my dad, and that's
Awesome.
one of the best gifts I could have had. The thing is that when my dad got this diagnosis, he
Hmm.
said, I'm happy with the life I've had. And when he said that, I was like, this is a wonderful thing to be able to say at the end of your
It
life,
is. Yeah.
because everyone has regrets. And the person that says they
True.
don't, that's
No,
a
it's not.
lie.
Yeah, it is a lie because everybody does. So,
Exactly. But if when you are at the end of your life, you can look back and say, I've done the things that I wanted to do.
yep, yep.
How amazing, because that's what we came here to do, to live
Amen.
our best lives.
Yes, yes.
So I realized at that point that although I was not unhappy with the life that I had, I mean, I went to Australia
Hmm.
just to learn English. I mean, I
Yeah.
had done things that I was proud of and that made me happy, but that relationship with food and my body was always there.
Yeah.
The always worrying, if I eat this, I'm going to get fat. But then when I open the cookies, I can't stop myself, but I eat the whole package.
Hmm.
Then I feel guilty and ashamed,
Yeah, it's a
all these things.
vicious
And
cycle there, yeah.
exactly. And when you hate your body, when you cannot be at peace with food, you feel drawn to your comfort foods, you feel that you can't control yourself, you feel guilty, and you feel that
Right.
you are the problem. And I realized that it was that's not what I wanted for me. I wanted
Hmm.
to be able to live a peaceful life without worrying about food. So I saw that I needed to heal my relationship with food and with my body. um, so I started looking at what could I do on the internet,
Right, exactly, yeah.
courses and all that. And I saw a lot of courses about nutrition. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is not what I need, because I know that I need to eat less processed food. I know that I need to eat less sweets.
Right.
I don't need a course to tell me that.
Exactly, yes,
But
yes.
if it were that easy, everyone would do it. So there's
True.
something else.
Yep.
So I came across the Institute of Integrative Nutrition,
Okay.
where they come with a holistic approach of health.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's like, what's in your plate, it's important, but what's outside your plate is important. And
True.
it's a thing that they say, and I really liked it, is, and I always say it, is like, you can have the best diet in the world, the cleanest diet, in the world. If you engage in toxic relationships, you are not going to be healthy and happy.
True. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good advice. I mean, it's good wisdom. It is very
Yeah.
much. So, okay, how if somebody was struggling with this, what did it take to? I mean, was it your dad's thing that finally got you to go seek help, or what was it that finally?
It was so when he said that, there was a click in my head that I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I need to work on this, because this is getting in the way of me being the person that I want to be. Because um if any emotion that you feel, then you eat, you don't
Yeah.
have healthy coping mechanisms, so it's always food, and that comes with guilt and shame and
Yep.
feeling out of control and all these thoughts that are not supportive at all. um then I came to the States and I started studying
Okay.
that, and I felt that I was called to be a coach when I started my
Okay. Awesome.
training, and we were, doing accountability coaching and all that with other peers. I felt that this was what I
That
wanted
was
to do.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like,
Hmm.
this is it.
Yeah.
I
This is
got it.
yeah.
This is
This is
my
this is
purpose.
it.
So then I was able to go and be with my dad during his last month of
Good.
life.
That's very good.
I got a permit, a special permit, because that's another thing. I couldn't leave the States after getting married. I couldn't leave the States whenever I wanted. I had to wait and ask for special permits to go see my dad, which it's added stress,
Yeah, it is
basically.
added stress, and I know when we talked the other day, I didn't know that was even something you had to deal with. I just
Yeah.
figured if your dad was ill, they would let you, but it sounded like it was quite the
And
process.
they did, but I had to go through a process to be able to go. And I went there, and there it's when I was like, oh, wait a second. It's not only my relationship with food, it's not only my relationship with my body. I am eating emotionally, because I remember that, I was just crying and going to the pantry and eating things, and
Yep.
just to make me feel better,
Yep.
because I didn't know how to do it otherwise. And then I realized that because of my past with emotions, like I said earlier, I didn't really learn to feel and express my emotions, because I always tried to keep my my environment
And I
calm,
can
safe.
understand the situation where you were in. I can definitely understand your thinking there. Oh yes.
So then I realized, oh, okay, I am eating emotionally. I am eating my emotions, and that makes me feel out of control, because
Yeah.
as soon as I start, I can't stop, because it makes me feel good for a little bit.
Yeah.
But that little bit in that moment, it's enough.
Yep.
So then I started working on healing my relationship deeper, and also feeling my emotions and all that.
Very, very cool. No, I mean that. Okay, so if somebody wanted to work with you, how do they? I mean, how do they get a hold of you, or do you have a certain amount of people you coach, or
So now I'm doing one-on-one coaching,
one on one?
and
Okay.
people can contact me through my website, which is mindfulhealthwithduna.com, on
Okay.
social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm now starting on Pinterest too.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
and what I do is a free coaching call first, to see where the person is at and
Mm-hmm.
where they want to be, and that's very, very important.
Yes, I
It's
can see that.
it's understand where you want to be, and the most important thing is the why. Why do you
Mm-hmm.
want to get there?
Yeah.
What's in it for you? What
Yeah.
happens if you don't get there?
Very
You know,
good question. Yeah. I mean,
oh,
and it is your why. I'm most things you want to your why has to be pretty strong too, because
exactly.
you will fall back on that numerous
Totally.
times in whatever you're trying to do.
Exactly.
So how long have
Exactly.
you been coaching, or how long have you been doing this?
A year, or a year or
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um, it's a lot of people, they feel out of control around food, and what they think they need to do, it's dieting.
Yeah.
And during all this time, during my healing journey and all that, I've come to understand how dieting disconnects you from your body completely.
Interesting.
I did a diet when I was 24, I think.
Okay.
So at this point, I cut contact with my mom to survive, because the
Okay.
situation was so
Sure.
big that I had to cut contact with my mom. My way to deal with that was to do a very, very strict diet and a very, very strict workout plan. I started
Okay.
doing CrossFit.
Okay.
My diet there was no processed food whatsoever. And
Okay.
not only that, there were fruits and vegetables that I was not allowed to eat
Oh,
because they
really?
had too
Okay.
much glucose.
Okay.
Right now,
Okay.
I think about it and I'm like, oh my God, how could you do that?
Uh-huh.
But at the time,
Yeah, it was where you were at. Yeah.
exactly. And I thought that's what I needed. And my
Right.
way to deal with my problems was to control food somehow.
Yep.
Um, so the problem is that in that um, in that diet, I had to eat every 3 hours, regardless
Oh,
if you're
wow.
yeah, regardless if you're hungry or not, or if you're hungry in between the 3 hours, you don't eat. So what do you
Just
learn to
rigid.
do? To not listen to your body. You look at the clock. Oh, it's time to eat. You eat.
Right.
You're not listening to your hunger and fullness cues.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, you're not listening to what your body is asking for. Like, am I feeling like having potatoes or rice or chicken or fish or
Right. Right.
whatever?
Yeah.
No, everything was very, very, very
Yep.
structured and rigid and strict.
Okay.
Um, and then you have the cheat meal, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Which which is horrible in the sense that when you cheat, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel that you're bad, that you are cheating, that you are doing something bad.
Yeah. It
So
does.
more things for you to feel guilty and ashamed. And those cheat meals were literally programmed binges, because I was
True.
restricting so much during the week that meal on Saturday, oh my God, I would
When
eat
you were.
everything I could.
Uh-huh.
And I
And I
remember one
understood
time
that.
feeling so sick, so sick. But I just thought, oh, this is how it is. And it's now when you stop and reflect on,
Yep.
because this is a big part of the work you need to do. And it's in my coaching, I'm not going to tell you what to do, because you are your own expert. I am not you.
True.
So
That
I
is
cannot
true. Yes. Yeah. Each person being their individual. Yeah. With the.
exactly. And
Okay.
it's important. So I guide my clients to reconnect with their bodies, to
Okay.
really feel, how do I feel? Am I hungry? Am I not? What do I feel if I think about eating green beans? Is it like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh, or is it like, oh yeah, that sounds good?
Mm-hmm.
It's really connecting to your body again. And a lot of people are like, well, if I do that, I'm just going to eat junk food the whole time. Maybe at the beginning.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe at the beginning, and that's okay. You have been restricting for so long that your body is just like, give
Yeah.
me all those things that you
Yeah. All that
haven't.
stuff. Yeah. Being not able to have. Yes.
Exactly. So, but our body is so wise, and we really need to trust our bodies,
Yep.
because if you start eating junk food for, I don't know, lunch and dinner, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, at some point,
Yeah.
I promise you, your body's going to be like, please, please give me broccoli
Yeah.
or
Exactly. You
wherever
crave
I
it.
eat,
Yes. Yes.
you
Yes.
know?
Uh-huh.
And I experienced. I remember my husband and I did a little road trip. We went to New Orleans and Charlotte
Uh-huh.
and wherever.
Nice.
And when you are in a trip, a lot of times you don't eat the same way
No,
you eat at
it's
home,
definitely different. Yep.
right? And in these places, there's all this soul food with a lot of,
Oh yes,
it's
especially in New Orleans. Yes, yes.
and it's good.
It
But
is.
at some point, I was like, I was like foggy, my head hurt. And I was like, you know what? What I think I need is a salad.
Yep.
I
I
can't eat
hear
more
you.
fried food. I can't eat more wherever. I need a salad.
Yep.
And that's what I did. And
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. And this was a moment where I was already, I had healed my relationship with food and all that. Although the process is ongoing, always ongoing.
Oh yeah. That
Sometimes you
I'm
eat
sure.
emotionally, but instead of
Yep.
judging, bring curiosity. What's going on?
Yeah.
Why? You
Yeah.
know?
Become
So,
aware.
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so if you give yourself the opportunity and the time, because all these things don't happen overnight. You're
No.
not going to just, oh yeah,
Everybody.
my body's telling
Yeah.
me no, because you have been disregarding the
Yeah.
messages your body gives you for
Yeah.
so long that now you need to reconnect with it.
You do.
Um,
It is a process. I mean, and everybody in society, especially in the United States, wants everything done yesterday. You want it's like
mhm,
I want my skinny body or whatever, done right now.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so do you? I mean, men and women both, or do you have one that's more than
I
another?
I have more women.
More
Yeah,
men.
yeah, and I don't want this to to sound like, oh, men don't need help with this. Not at all. I know
I,
there's a lot of men, because women, we have the messages from society that we need to be skinny, to
yeah.
be healthy, and all that. And I want to say that your weight does not equal your health or your worth, and that's
Amen.
very, very important to remember, because we do attach our body size and shape to our worth and our
We
health,
do.
and that is nothing to do. But men also have they need to be muscular, they
Yeah,
need
they're
to,
gonna. I could rough it
right?
or tough it out. I don't need. Yeah.
Exactly. So men also need this. However, I decided to specialize more with women just because I know more what a woman goes through,
Sure.
and I know more the societal pressure that women go through, and
Yes.
men, for us, we need to please people, and we need to always be happy, and but men, they can't cry, they can't,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Oh.
because I feel more, I think that I can help better women. But that, with this, I don't mean that men don't have these problems, and
Yep.
they
Yep.
completely do. And I think it's very important that if um, they struggle with their relationship with food and their body, it's so worth it to go and seek help, because um, these things are difficult to um, to do on our own.
Oh yes. Yeah, I would think it'd be extremely difficult. I mean, uh, yeah, I've done when I was younger. I was overweight. I did emotional eating too, and like my parents at their sixth grade put me on Weight Watchers because I was like 60 pounds overweight. And I mean, I eat a whole bag of chips and
Yeah,
everything, and it was just so. I know a little bit about that because food talks to me.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and but it is, and I think maybe men are getting more. It's looked and not looked down so much. Men can show their emotions more, maybe a little bit more, and not be. It's like I can't do that because I'm a man. And
Mhm.
I hope we're going that direction. Um, so like 5 years, or what's the plan for what you're doing? What would you like to be doing in 5 years with all this?
Well, my goal is really to help as many people as I can, right?
Okay,
So now
that's
I'm doing
awesome.
one-on-one coaching. In the future, I'll probably do group coaching too, because I think that's something interesting where, you can talk to other women that are going through the same thing as you, but at the same
Yes.
time, we are all different. So
Yep.
sometimes someone asks a question that you didn't even think about it, and
True.
so a lot of times being in a group for support and accountability, it's very interesting. But for now, I'm doing one-on-one coaching,
Yeah, I
because
can
I,
see
I
that.
do like the one-on-one, to be able
I
to ask specific questions and be
Yeah.
really, okay, what did you work this week,
Yeah.
what
Exactly. Where
have you
you?
done, and
Yeah.
so I do like that a lot. But in the future, I'll probably do some group coaching, maybe courses as well. I have big
Nice.
projects for the
Awesome.
business, but you need to go step by step.
You
Uh,
do. Yeah, you want to kind of keep your focus where you're at right now and
yes,
and, and do
exactly.
that. So I know last time we talked about van life too. You
Oh,
were
yes.
so how I mean tell the audience a little bit about what your dream is there or how you're
Yeah,
progressing.
so well, as you know now, I love traveling, and my husband does too. We met each other
Uh-huh.
traveling.
Uh-huh.
So our plan is to buy a van. We are now looking for a van,
Nice.
and to transform it and make it our house, and then travel around the US and Canada.
Very, very
So,
nice.
and coaching, when I started my training, not only I felt that this was my purpose to help
Uh-huh.
other women heal their relationship with food and their body and overcome emotional eating, but then I was like, it's so perfect because I
Mhm.
want to do it online.
Yep.
because by doing it online, I can help more people.
You can. Yeah. Basically, the world's you can.
Exactly. So I was like, this is so perfect, because the thing that I feel that it's my purpose in this life, in this planet,
I hear you. Yes.
it goes perfectly with my dream. That is not
does.
business dream, my personal dream, or my dream with my husband.
Yeah.
So it was just so perfect. So that's
it's a win-win.
Hopefully in 5 years we'll be traveling and I'll be coaching people from anywhere in the States or Canada.
Sounds like you'll be a digital nomad, and you'll be doing, I mean, that sounds like a really great dream to have come to fruition. So, and I know it will, because I just know it will. So, where's, have you and your husband laid out a first trip you're going to do on your van, or?
So our first, we don't, because even when we were traveling in Asia, we would just book 1 or 2 nights in a hostel and then decide what do we want to do. And that's the freedom that we love. It was not 1 week here, 1 week there. So our plan is really to go with the flow and go where, and if there's a place that we love and we want to stay there a month, we stay there a month. We're free.
I'm with you. That sounds like the perfect way to do it, because these people that have regimented, they run from place to place, or think they have to keep and it's just like, well, I wish I could have stayed there longer, or not as long as the place you don't like, or something like that. So
we do know our first stop, though. We want to go back to New Orleans, because when we were there, we enrolled in the Nature Conservancy, which is there was people there, so they, there's people that ask you things, and then you start talking and all that. And we ended up adopting a tree. So
I love it.
because they were talking about the importance of water and trees in the mangroves in there.
Yep.
So we adopted a tree, paying monthly for 1.5 years, because that's the time a tree needs to ensure that it's going to keep growing.
Oh, really? Okay.
And keep alive. So this was like 1 or 2 months ago. We were just talking about, where could we go? And we said, let's go see our tree.
I think that sounds like a good plan. Do you have a name for your tree?
We don't. And actually, it's not like we are going to see, that is our tree. But our plan is to go where there are mangroves there.
Okay.
And it's just a silly little first.
I love it, though. I think it's a great way to get more trees planted and everything else. I think that's really great. So, so you said you were in Australia and you didn't speak English. What did you speak before? Or do you still, I'm sure, still speak or able to?
Yeah, I speak Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Catalan.
Oh my God. Wow. You speak English very well. I mean, it's just, I would think that was your very first language. So Catalan, what is that? I don't think I know that language.
That's the language they speak in Andorra. But it's
really?
Also it's the official language there, but it's also the language they speak in Barcelona, in Catalonia.
Okay. So, I did not. Do you ever go back to your home country?
I actually was there in October with my husband, so he could meet my Spanish side of the family.
So the family's still there then? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so I know it's a very small country. What can you do there in that country?
Oh, well, it's up in the mountains, so it's all about winter sports.
Okay.
And the mountains so the city itself, it's very touristic. It's shopping.
Okay.
Because supposedly their things are cheaper than in Spain.
Okay.
But actually what's cheaper mostly, it's alcohol and tobacco. The rest of the things,
that's too bad.
Well, clothing too, actually. But so a lot of people go there just to buy stuff. But then the mountains are very, very nice, and there's a lot of nice
I would like that.
Ski resorts. And the thing is that when I was a teacher there, we would go skiing with the kids once a week.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Once a week, because it's half an hour to go up to the
perfect. Yeah.
So
I've never done that, but do you snowboard then too, or have you ever done that?
I tried.
Okay. That's what I keep hearing. Everybody's like, they said you're on the ground more than it's like, okay.
Yeah, when you start That's what happens, yeah. And that's why I think it's good if you start at a young age, because as an adult it's so frustrating. It's like, oh, let me go back to my skis because I already know how to do it.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think, yeah, and there is something about that. I think, I don't know. You can still learn, but it seems like it was easier. Maybe as a kid or when you're younger, it's just like, wow,
I
this
mean,
is,
I think you can learn wherever you want, whenever you want,
yep,
if you, again, if you have a why, a strong why,
yep,
right?
it is.
And you
Yeah,
make a plan. Like on my coaching as well, it's we don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. It's really little steps. And
yep,
when you have a goal, first get your why, get your motivation, because if your motivation comes from an external source, it's not
mhm.
going to stick.
No,
If it
no,
comes from within you, it's much easier for it to stick.
yep,
And then
makes sense.
make it small. Make it very small. Let's say that you want to start running,
Okay,
for example.
right.
First, you need to find joy in that. And how do you, and if you're like, but I hate running, so how do I find joy with that? Well, link it with something that you like. For example,
Good idea.
listening to a podcast while
Right,
you're,
right, right.
or
Yeah,
listening to music, or I don't know, wherever it is, do something, link it with something that you like. And
exactly.
that's going to motivate you. That's the intrinsic motivation. It's going to motivate you to do it.
Yep,
Also, make it that it's easy to remember that that's your goal. If we go back to the example of running,
true.
don't put your running shoes inside the closet because you're not going to see them. Put
No,
them by the door.
yeah, yeah.
And then
So it
you
kind of,
see them. Oh,
yep,
okay, I need to run. And
yep.
then as well, if you haven't run in a long time, you can't go and run 1 hour a day. Let's start by what? Once a day or
Yep,
once a week for
we're
10 minutes, for 5, wherever it is.
build up to it.
And even if it's 5 minutes a week, if that's the small step you need, it's okay.
Yep,
Because from there, then we are going to build
yeah,
up, right?
yeah, yeah. And I would agree. I mean, for one thing, if I did it an hour, I'd be in so much pain the next few days,
Yes,
I would never do it again. And then
exactly.
where you at? So
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
do. And I would be. I'd probably an hour. I'd probably be in the hospital.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. But I think it's very important when we get a goal in mind. It's like I was saying, it's really why the motivation. I'm doing a brain coaching training,
okay.
and we were talking about the motivation. This
Uh
is
huh. Uh huh.
intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, and it makes so much sense in like when I want to lose weight
Mm-hmm.
or I want to exercise because I want to lose weight. What
Mm-hmm.
if you don't? And then if I lose the weight, I'll give myself permission to go shopping.
Yeah.
Get the month that you gave yourself
Yep.
and you didn't lose the weight. So you have that frustration because it's something that you
Yeah.
don't control. Weight
Yep.
loss, it's not something you can control because it depends on so many factors that you
Oh
can't
yes.
just, there's a lot of things that are out of your control. So you don't lose the weight. So you feel guilty. You feel like a failure. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't go shopping because that was your reward. It was an external
Yep.
reward. So you're punishing yourself twice.
Yeah.
So
Which
next
is,
time you say, I want to start exercising, you remember that you punished yourself 2 times last time you started. What?
yeah. Why would
How
I?
I try? How
Yeah.
can you be motivated? So instead of linking the instead of linking the reward to the result, let's link
Mm-hmm.
it to the activity as well,
Interesting. Okay.
right?
I
Not
like
only
that.
the result, but the activity.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going to result driven, let's go to process driven,
I like that a
right?
lot. That's interesting.
And because when you enjoy the process, then you get to that result, but you've already enjoyed all the process. If it's all the process is just pain, pain, pain,
Yeah.
pain, and then you might not get the result,
Yeah.
then
You're not gonna keep doing
you
it.
don't
Yeah.
get the goal, you feel like a failure, you don't get a reward. There's so many things. So I think there's a big mindset shift that it's very important to have there.
I think that's very important. That's very interesting too. I never thought about it that way either. That's very
Hmm.
interesting. So,
Yeah.
do you speak on stage or do you speak in front of groups?
No, No.
Okay. I could just see you doing that. I mean,
Oh,
you
thank you.
speak very well. So, and we talked about a podcast last time, I believe. You don't have one yet, right?
No, no.
Okay.
In the
Would that be
future, probably.
okay? Okay. And
For
let me
now,
get
I
back.
have a blog.
Yeah. Okay. That's so. What's your blog? I mean,
Well, it's I've always liked writing.
okay.
So, and I didn't, I like podcasts too, but I was like, let's start by writing because
Perfect.
I do like it a lot. So I started a blog where I just talk about all things emotional eating, body image, mindset, mindfulness, because mindfulness is so important in this
It is.
process in healing your relationship with food, body, and overcoming emotional eating. Mindfulness is so important inside and outside the plate
Mhm.
because we forget, but we distracted constantly. We
Oh
are
yes.
eating while we are working, while we are scrolling, while
Yep.
I don't know, wherever. And
Mindless eating.
then
Yeah.
we end up overeating. We are not connecting to our body's cues. And this has happened to me. I remember one time I went to have a snack and I had it while I was watching something.
Uh huh.
10 minutes later, I wanted the same snack. It's like I
Oh
hadn't,
wow. And I can
because
believe.
I was not present on
Mhm.
eating what I was eating,
Yeah.
So I've learned as well that mindful eating, it's very important to help you connect with your body, to stop overeating and really find satisfaction on what you're eating. And then
Amen.
mindfulness outside the plate as well, because when you watch your thoughts and bring curiosity instead of self-judgment, because in our society, we are constantly judging ourselves.
That is true.
Um, and
Yeah.
instead of being, oh, I ate emotionally, I am so bad, I feel so guilty, why do you do this? And again, you've done this. Instead of that, it's like, oh, that's right, I ate emotionally. What happened? How was I
Mm-hmm.
feeling?
That's
What kind of thoughts did I have?
perfect.
You know? So I
And
think,
that is, it's because we don't. I mean, that's definitely the route to go because the other is spiraling downward, and that'd be spiraling upward. Because if you don't
yeah,
realize why you're doing it, or even realize, and I can especially believe in people in the office, they're eating while they're on the phone, and
mhm,
and well, I mean, this society is on such always on the go,
yes,
and with technology, we can do it almost 24/7. And eating is kind of it's like, well, we need to eat, so I might as well just grab something on the way.
exactly. But,
And
and the thing is that, and this is something that I realized, and it's like eating. So when you want to go to the restroom, you don't say to your body, no, wait, you
mhm,
go. I mean,
right,
you need to
exactly.
go, you go.
You
But
do,
when we are
yes.
hungry, we might, oh no, when I finish my project, I'll eat
Hmm.
something. What
True, true.
message are you sending to your body? When you're hungry and you don't eat, or when you're full and you keep going because you're not connecting with your body, what you're telling your body is that it doesn't matter, that the needs it has, it doesn't matter. So for me,
Interesting.
eating mindfully and really having that time to eat, not to work while you eat, not to scroll while you eat, giving yourself the
Yeah,
time,
just
10
yeah,
minutes to eat and enjoy your food. You find
awesome,
satisfaction, you connect with your body, and you're telling your body, I'm listening to you and I'm giving what you need. So
perfect.
it's the ultimate expression of self-love and self-care.
And it really is. And I've been guilty of that too, and I think that's a very good idea. Not to eat while I'm doing whatever, doing editing this or something like that afterwards, or
Mhm.
doing anything with because it's so easy to have like a sandwich here while I'm doing whatever online.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I think that is something that my wife and I both need to work on. That's for sure. So, I mean, that is so. And before I forget, what's the name of your blog?
It's on my website. It's
Okay.
called Thrive Beyond Emotional Eating, which is the name of my program too. But it's on my website. There's
Okay.
the
Okay.
little,
Good to
yeah,
know. I got to check that out because I mean that is
yeah.
you struck a chord with me right there because it's like I'm very guilty of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, eating is if we go sure when I go out to a meal, then we'll be present, but that doesn't happen. The majority of the meals are the other way,
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
run. That's for sure too.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not an easy thing to do, really. It sounds silly, but at the beginning it's uncomfortable because we are so not used to it that at the beginning it's like, what do I do?
yeah, I would think it would feel strange. I would think
Yeah.
because they're
Yeah.
so used to the other way.
But it's important for us to also learn to sit with the uncomfortable, because that
True.
happens also with emotions when we are constantly avoiding our emotions. I don't label emotions as positive and negative. I do
Okay.
not like that. They are
Uh huh.
comfortable or uncomfortable, because all emotions have a message. If you
True.
are angry, maybe there's a boundary that was crossed,
Okay.
and that's what makes you angry. If you're sad, there's some kind of loss that maybe all emotions have a message and a purpose. So I don't like to
Awesome.
label
Yeah, I
them
think
as negative and positive, the same way that I don't like to label food as good or bad, because all foods have a purpose too. Some nourish the body, some nourish
yeah.
the mind and the soul.
True.
So going back to emotions, we are so not used to feel those uncomfortable emotions because they are uncomfortable emotions, and I mean our brain tries to go away from the pain and towards
True.
the pleasure.
Right.
That's
Right.
what our brain is wired to. So when it feels something uncomfortable, you try to look for other things. How can I
You
taste
do.
so I'm not feeling uncomfortable? Oh,
Uh-huh.
my phone scrolling. Let's see.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we know, and
exactly.
we know that goes on a lot in today's
Yeah.
world. So,
Exactly. And we are constantly, we do not sit in silence with ourselves. And I'm guilty of that too.
yeah,
Actually, today I was telling my business coach, you know what? I've been noticing that I need to sit still with myself a little bit more often, because lately I haven't been doing it. And
yeah,
when you
I know what you
sit
mean.
still and, you have a lot of ideas, and you can find stillness, and you have thoughts.
You
And
do. Yeah,
but then that's a very good opportunity to watch your thoughts. What are you telling yourself?
yeah,
Are you being mean to yourself, or are
um,
you being nice? you
yeah,
know and it's a very good opportunity for you to watch your thoughts and reframe the ones that make you feel bad,
yep.
because also it's very important, we are not our thoughts, the same way that we are not our
True.
emotions,
Yeah.
right?
No, so good. And I mean, I love that. And we don't, as a society, we don't sit in silence. Most some in and I don't. I used to run. I don't run. I mostly walk now. But I love having it out in nature because that's where I
Hmm.
get some of my best thoughts.
Yeah.
And I always say silence has answers, and everybody's like, "What?" It's like just do it. It may take
Yes.
a little while, but it does have answers. It's
Yes.
awesome, actually.
Yes.
And but today we have music going or AirPods. Something always some kind of noise,
Yes.
and I would I would miss the silence part.
Hmm.
And but I think some people are uncomfortable with the silence too.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
just like not
a
used
lot
to
of
that. So
Mhm.
no, I
That's why
mean,
it's important to learn to be okay with being uncomfortable for
yeah,
a little bit.
true, and that's something that I think that isn't told either. Because that's I can get on my thing here because they always do the comfort. People are just
Mhm.
like it's like, well, you want to be comfortable, and it's like I remember somebody was telling me the other day. It's like too much of anything is bad.
Mhm.
If you eat too much food, or if you have too much to drink, or too much comfort,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that if you get excess, it's not good.
Yeah.
And I just
Mhm.
don't think as a society, I've talked to some of these people. It's like, well, I want to be comfortable in my old age. It's
Yeah.
like to a point, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of times when you get into the comfort mindset, because I think anything new is going to be uncomfortable, or when you're trying to change your thought and your
Totally.
mindset, but they don't
Yeah.
want to do that because they aren't used to that because they've been told it's like to strive towards comfort, and
Yeah.
it, no. In fact, I think when you really live your dream life when you're uncomfortable to the point because you're going and a lot of times doing new things and
Mhm. And
yeah,
our brain is wired to keep us safe.
yep, yep,
Our brain is not wired to make us happy.
no, that's
It's
true,
wired to make us safe,
yep,
even if the safe situation, it's what's keeping you stuck, it's what's
yep,
keeping you being, I don't know, miserable, sad, angry,
right,
wherever it is.
yep,
Your brain, that's what it knows. So, okay, if this is what we know, we'll keep it that way. So when you
True.
try to go outside that and you try
Right.
to do something new, your brain is like, what is going on?
Exactly. Yeah. This isn't
But
right.
exactly. But if you train yourself to go outside your comfort zone, because there is where things happen. It's
They
good to
do.
have your comfort zone.
Yep.
Perfect. Because
Yep.
that's where you can, be with
Exactly.
yourself
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that. But change happens outside your comfort zone.
It really, really does. And when I was younger, I was of the mindset, but as I've gotten older, it's just like, one thing I want to learn everything new. And I admire as many languages you speak. I mean, oh my gosh, that is so cool. There's,
I was lucky. I learned them when I was very young.
okay.
So yeah,
Well, you
it's
speak English so well. I mean, my gosh. I mean, and I can see your passion. I mean, I just for what you're doing here. I think
Mhm.
that comes across greatly too. So
Thank you.
before we end, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience today?
Well, I really want people to understand that they are not the problem when it comes to food. They're
Okay.
not the problem when it comes to their body. That another diet, it's not going to help them. That we have to
Hmm.
go further. We have to go to the root causes of what's going on with food and body and emotions and all that.
Yes.
I have, if someone is interested, I have an emotional eating journaling guide
Okay.
that helps first bring awareness to the things that make you feel out of control around food, and then it helps you build a toolkit to what can I do next time I see myself reaching out to food when I'm not hungry.
Nice. Very important. That's very, very
So
good.
they can download that, and that can be a first step to try to understand certain things and
Right.
build a new habit of, at least next time I reach out to food. Okay, let me take a couple of deep breaths and see what do I actually need. And with
Yeah.
that
Important.
journaling guide, it can help them, feel better without food and create healthy coping mechanisms. They can find that in my website, or if they send me a DM on Instagram with the
Okay.
word journal, they're gonna get it right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very,
So
very good. I mean, I just look forward to watching your progress in the coming
thank
years.
you.
I mean, especially with your passion, because it definitely comes across
Thank you. I
very,
really
very
appreciate
much. So, well, on that, I'm going to end the podcast episode. Thank you for being my guest. And maybe follow up down the line
it. Sure.
when you're doing your van life too.
Oh yeah, I'll
When
let
you're
you
doing
know.
when you're doing your stuff online, and
Yeah.
um, and I would love to meet you and your husband in person too. I mean, that would be very cool. So,
We'll go to Nebraska.
well, it's all right. It's I think it's definitely quieter than where you're at right now by a long ways. But I mean, there every place. I mean, it's just quiet. We have a lot of wildlife, and I like that part of it
We
too.
like
So,
that.
yep. So, but I will end it there. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
joining
much.
us, and look forward to talking to you in the future. And we'll let you go and have a good rest of your day. And
Thank you
take
so
care.
much for having me. Really, I really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.